Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Roush will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush, your personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies on how to master that sales conversation. Today's episode is an on-air coaching call with one of my favorite Sales Maven Society members, Laura Kebart. Laura, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for having me. I didn't know I was one of your favorites, so now let me process that for a minute. I'm going to have to live up to this standard here.
Well, just to be really truthful, you are one of my favorites, and I kind of fall in love with every single member of the society. Like I love each of you to pieces, and you're so fun. So tell the audience who doesn't know, maybe who hasn't met you before, tell us a little bit about yourself and your businesses. I'm going to say business. You decide if you want to share about businesses or business, because I know you have multiple.
Yeah, that's a strange thing to have to think about now. I have businesses.
You do.
It's for real, but it is for real. So I'm Laura Kebart. I'm CEO of Laura Kebart Copy. I've built a six-figure membership site business in a highly price-sensitive niche. I did that over at languageartsteachers.com. That is my six-figure business. I've had that business and grown it from sprouts to what it is now. And in learning how to start, grow, maintain a business like that, I've developed so many skills in such a wide variety of areas. And so now what I do in my new business, in the Laura Kebart Copy business, is I guide online entrepreneurs in building their own successful businesses through engaging copy that builds connections and results in revenue.
Love it, love it, love it. And so excited for this new business. It's so needed out there. Copy is something that so many people struggle with, and you have really figured out how to make this work for you, and then for you to be able to share this now with other people. I love this. I'm so excited for this business.
Oh, thank you so much. And I don't know who originally said this, but I've heard this quote over and over, that copy is like water to your business. It's like blood to your system, your bodily system. There are all kinds of, metaphors for that, but it comes down to, how are you able to consistently connect with your audience? How are you able to consistently provide value to them? And whether it's video, whether it's Twitter posts, Facebook Lives, whatever it is, emails, it all comes down to writing. And so I love that. I enjoy that.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. So super excited, and really want to thank you for saying yes to do an on-air coaching call. I love these, I think I love to coach. So having this opportunity for the listener to get to hear kind of your question and some answers, and hopefully this will be beneficial for the listener, but more importantly for you, something that you can go back and immediately implement to your business. So tell me, what is your question? What can I support you on today?
Okay. So one thing I struggle with in the selling process as it relates to this new business is, I think, when I get on a discovery call with a client, with a pre-client, I guess you could call it, I see that they need so much more than what they think they need. So they come to me with, I need help creating a welcome sequence for my emails, or I need help figuring out how to create posts that people will actually engage with, Facebook posts, for example. And then when we start digging in, it becomes there's a bigger issue at play. Well, we need to get clear on your message. We need to get clear on what you're selling and who you're selling it to. What is the problem that you're solving for people? Is it a big enough problem that people are paying for it? Is the idea you have validated? Has anyone paid you before? And so maybe there are some mindset issues there where someone comes to me and they think they might only need an hour of my time
Mm-hmm.
But really, I'm thinking, okay, we can't get to this copy issue until we figure out all these other components. And so sometimes I feel like, okay, they're coming to me for an hour of my time, but I could see this taking a good 3 or 4 weeks and several hours
Mm-hmm.
to really be able to solve this problem that they're coming to me with. And so I'm thinking, okay, I need to sell you this. Here's the package I need to sell you.
Right.
And I feel strange about that because really you came to me with hoping and thinking it's just this one thing and it's really not. So that's where I struggle.
Okay. So is this during the discovery call and then the proposal, or is this they hired you to do like a 1-hour strategy session? You get into the strategy session and realize there's more here. Which is it?
Yes, it has been both. And so
Okay.
I have tightened up on the discovery call questions to make sure that this is truly a good fit and that, I've taken care of that end of things. But yeah, still sometimes people will book with me from kind of nowhere. And I find myself in a situation where we're 30 minutes into the call and I still don't have the right amount of information to really be able to help them. So what happens is I end up going over that hour. I end up way over delivering based on what they paid me for. And so I'm struggling with that. It's kind of like they want to buy a decorative pillow, right? And I'm thinking, oh no, we need to redo your whole house. So it's like they don't quite always realize how much work they need to get the results they want to get.
Okay. So I think some of this is the way that you frame it to the client in this moment. So I have so many things I want to dig in and say here, and I just want to make sure I remember all of them. The first thing I would say is I would love for you to not offer an hour. So are you offering an hour, like a full hour?
Yes. So you can book a 1-hour strategy session with me.
Yeah.
You can book 3 hours. You can book 6 hours. And so on the discovery call, I do go over which one seems the most appropriate based on, the conversation of that discovery call. And I've had some fantastic 1-hour sessions.
Yeah.
Like I've got a sales page. I think it could be better. Can I book some time with you? Absolutely.
Okay.
But they're not always that way.
Right.
I find myself in calls with people where I think, okay, there's a lot of foundational work we need to do first.
Okay. So my suggestion is to change your strategy sessions to make them either 45 minutes or 50. I do 50 minutes in my strategy session. And the reason for this is because nobody books out 50 minutes on their calendar. They book out an hour. And it allows for you to watch your time. And then it gives you a buffer. It gives you a window of time to talk about additional ways that you can work together. Because a lot of us do butt our calendars up from 1 hour to the next as far as appointments. So if you're going into a coaching session and they're getting a full hour with you, and then at the end, you're like, but really you need more. And there's this other thing. So you're either going over into this next like half hour, or they have to go because they have another session. And then you don't have any time to talk about additional ways that you might work together. So one, I would make some changes to the way that you're offering that. And then the other thing that I think is going to be crucial is that you do a pre-frame at the beginning of these sessions. So when I say a pre-frame, it's basically laying out like how the meeting's going to go, but also I think in your pre-frame that we have to prepare them that you're going to get everything I can give you in the next 45 minutes or whatever it is. It often what happens, and I'm going to actually do this for you in a second. So let me just do it and say, so if I'm you, I get on a call with somebody who maybe I don't know because they've heard about you, you're amazing. They just book a session with you and you get on the call. The first thing you want to do is say, now the purpose of this meeting today is in the next 45 minutes is to focus on maybe 1 to 3 things that's going to immediately help you in your business. I often find though that when I don't have a lot of experience with a client, we do spend a good portion of the time having to ask some of these kind of basic questions about like, who's your ideal person? And then I'm going to give you everything I can in that 45 minutes. If it turns out that you need more, I have an opportunity for us to talk about what that would look like at the end. So we'll see how we go, and then we'll get there to the end. But just know that there is an opportunity for us to do some continued work if that's needed. So now I just prepped it for them. Like, hey, this is coming.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I'm processing this, and I know because I'm in your Sales Maven Society, and we've coached together before.
Yeah.
I know about the pre-frame, and yet what has happened here to where I'm not phrasing it that way. I needed to hear this again.
Yeah.
And it's a direct invitation to what's going to happen during our actual strategy session, as well as I am going to explain to you some other ways to work together at the end of this. It's funny because I do that in my automated webinars for my other business. But why am I not doing it on these phone calls, on these Zoom calls? I love this. Okay, this feels really good. And then 45 to 50 minutes, not 60 minutes. I feel like I need to give people their full 60 minutes, but I'm really not serving them if I'm not creating that boundary. So
yeah. And it's hard. Believe me, I struggle with it too, that sometimes like I will sometimes go over in my coaching sessions, but I find that sometimes that isn't for really the benefit of the client. Like it's almost like it's me trying to validate and justify that I'm worth the money that you pay. And yet sometimes in the first 10 minutes, somebody will be like, well, this was totally worth this money. Like what you just gave me in the first 10 minutes. And if you keep giving more, you can overwhelm them. It's like, and I can do this too. I always say like, sometimes I fire hose people because you know all that you know, and it feels kind of easy to just give. But sometimes we have to hold ourselves back. And not that we're trying to be like stingy with our knowledge. We're trying to make it palatable. Your job is to make it easy for someone to digest it, take it in and go, okay, now I've got something, I've got a nugget here that I can go and implement into my business and get results. And I always find every time I do this, I can pull back a little bit, that it gives people that space to go and implement. And then they come back and they're definitely ready for more because they're like, dang, I implemented that. That worked. I want more. Like I rarely do a one-off strategy session with somebody and that be it. Right now, doesn't mean they're going to come back the next week, but they do come back, and they come back because it's like, oh, I got what I needed for right now. And now I'm ready for the next thing. That's
a good way for me to start thinking about it, because I don't need to feel like I've got to solve all these problems for them. And I can't solve all their problems.
No,
but we can do one in-depth thing together.
Yeah.
And I have a pre-strategy session questionnaire they fill out. So they book the time with me. They're automatically sent a welcome email. Here's how to set up your strategy session. And then here's a questionnaire I need 24 hours before. And that does help because then I can check out their website. I can, get a sense of what's happening. And that is very beneficial. But sometimes, by the time the time window between they book the time and we actually get on the call together, sometimes things can shift and change. And then I feel like I'm walking into a situation I wasn't prepared to walk into. Mm-hmm. And so I like the pre-frame you talked about because that lays that foundation one last time right there as we're about to begin the discussion. So this feels good. And then like you just mentioned, we're focusing on one, maybe two very minute areas, powerful, but minute, meaning they can walk away from the call with one thing done, something done that they can implement. And then, there's no pressure on me to try to, why do we do that to ourselves?
I think it's always we always want to deliver, right? We want to make it so valuable. It's so impactful that people are like, wow. And less is more oftentimes for people, because what feels really easy to you, for somebody that's hearing it for the first time or is having some awareness around how does this apply to me, it can feel big. It can feel really big. So let them have that moment and just pre-frame that there's other ways and other opportunities for us to continue to work together. It doesn't have to be a one and done. And I think it always kind of comes back to our own kind of self-worth. Like, they paid me a lot of money. I want to deliver. And of course you are delivering. So sit in that. So the other thing that I do always recommend, and I know you know this because you and I have done some private coaching together, and I do this at the end of my trainings. I always ask at the end, now, as we're bringing this to a close, let's talk about your biggest takeaways from today. And then I have them kind of recap like, oh, it was this and it was this and it was this. And that I do that for a couple reasons. One is it helps clarify in their mind the things that we worked on, and then what do they need to go and then implement. And then it also validates for them the value of the appointment or the session that they just had with you. So if you're not doing that piece in your kind of wrap ups, I would add that piece to this for their benefit. But the other kind of side benefit is that it reinforces for you the value of what you just delivered.
Yeah, I think that's great. I've been wrapping up recently by asking them what they're going to go and do next, what their next step is based on what we talked about. But I like asking them kind of, what is your takeaway from our session today? Because it may not even be what I thought it would be. It could be something I never would have, that was the most, okay. Like to hear it in their own words. And that can sometimes surprise us too.
Yeah. I will say that oftentimes people's big takeaways aren't necessarily the things that we thought was going to be the huge aha. And I will say, pay attention to those, because when somebody has a big takeaway from you that you're like, what? Like, where did that come from? That's oftentimes an indicator. There's some opportunity there for you that maybe you need to flesh out that content a little bit and make it something that you offer to sale, or you do a workshop on it, or, like I have gotten so much great content and developed content just from hearing what people's takeaways are when I teach or when I am working with a client privately. And I, for my VIP clients, I actually give them a full, complete manual, like a workbook that has all these exercises in there. Every exercise that's in there has come from me doing VIP sessions with people and them telling me what their biggest takeaway was.
That's amazing content repurposing, just saying.
Well, I like to repurpose.
Yeah. And it's authentic, because could you have come up with that on your own? Maybe so, but maybe not, just because it's coming from the voices of those people you've impacted.
Yeah.
So that's powerful.
Yeah. Your clients are always the best source of what's possible. What else can I offer? Like, what's my next thing? Not that you need to go down a bunch of rabbit holes. I don't mean to imply that, but pay attention to those takeaways. There's gold. There's so much gold in takeaways. So I love asking people. And that may not always make sense for it. I think it makes sense for you and I in doing strategy sessions with clients. For a listener who's like, well, I don't do a strategy session, so I wouldn't ask a takeaway. But you can ask this same question, just frame it a little bit different. Like, what did you find most valuable about our meeting today? Like, if you're not actually asking for takeaways, like that's another way to phrase it that allows for somebody to go, oh, it was this and it was this. And especially if you have a group of people and you're asking that, and you're asking like, would you each share like what was one valuable thing that you took away from our time together today? It reinforces for the rest of the group the value of what you brought. And it allows for other people to go, oh yeah, that thing too. I didn't think about that, or I forgot about that. So it is a powerful way to kind of wrap up meetings, and I do recommend it.
Yeah, I love that. I do, in both businesses, I do live open office hours, Q&A sessions. And I like to end that way. Even if it's just one person left and myself, as people kind of pop in and pop out, but it's validating to the other person. And there are different ways to ask that question. I know in my other business, my teacher education business, I'll send out a new resource or release a new product. And then I ask for aha moments, or in what way did this save you time? Or in what way did this help you engage your students? Or, I ask for those, and those ultimately become testimonials, when people reply and they let you know. And sometimes it's not always what you thought it would be, which is really interesting and helpful.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm going to make sure I add that just consistently. I've been developing, a checklist of items I want to make sure I hit on when I do those strategy sessions, but also when I do the group office hour sessions too.
Absolutely.
So making sure I cover all of those.
All right, good. Well, thank you for coming on and being a guest today. I'm so honored that you said yes. And I always like to ask a couple things before we wrap up. So one is, what's one thing that you have found valuable as being a member of the Sales Maven Society?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on this session together. It's always working with you and learning from you is eye-opening and aha moments every time. And so one takeaway from being a member of the society, and I've been a member for months and months now, is that when you reply to people, because you personally reply to people's questions, and it's kind of like, what would Nikki say? What would Nikki do? I think someone actually posted that a few days ago. What would Nikki say? What would Nikki do in your group? And we can all kind of speculate, and we're all learning this language of sales from you. And so we're formulating these ways of thinking and speaking to our clients. But then you come into the group and you type out a reply, or you tweak it, or you change it. And every single one is an aha moment that anyone in the group can read and take away and apply to their business. And so I love seeing the range of members in the group, the range of businesses. And ultimately, we're all trying to hone in on that just right language of sales, and then seeing how you reply, or the small modifications that you make are powerful. And that's ongoing. I mean, you're doing that daily. So pop into the group, read a few responses from you, and you're going to walk away with gold just as a member. And that's what I love. I love it.
Thank you. And thank you for being such a valued member of the group. Like I said, I love having you. And now tell listeners, because maybe they want to be a part of the membership that you have for the copywriting, and or they need a strategy session with you. How can people find you?
Sure. So the easiest thing to do is visit me over at laurakebartcopy.com. That will direct you to my one-on-one strategy sessions. It will also direct you into the membership, where we work on one copywriting nugget 1 month at a time. Perfect for busy online entrepreneurs.
Perfect. And that will be in the show notes. So if you want to go check Laura out, which I recommend that you do, she's amazing.
Thank you.
And join her group, do a strategy session with her, get some help with copy. Copy is like, it's a tough one. So thank goodness that you are doing this. Thank you so much for being here, and wishing you all continued success in all you're doing. Thank you so much, Laura.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, and I will see you in the society.
All right. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.